India versus Australia. This was expected to be a formality of a contest. This was expected to be, a game, a final before the final. All these things were being said. But guess what? Afghanistan had different things in mind. And where we stand right now, this India versus Australia game has become very important. It's become very crucial. The game to be played in St. Lucia. After what Afghanistan did to Australia, many are saying that it's bittersweet for India, because remember, if Australia had beaten Afghanistan, India would have qualified for the semi-final. But now, because Afghanistan has upset Australia, India are still not through to the semi-final. So they were hoping that Australia could win and guarantee India a semi-final spot. But I look at it differently. I think it's great news for the Indian team. I mean, apart from the fact that underdog beat Australia, which cricket fans enjoy. But I think even from Indian perspective, it was great news that Afghanistan has beaten Australia, because what that does is, one, you have a possibility of Australia getting knocked out of the tournament, which India can do. That is one incentive. But the second incentive, and I think the more important incentive, is that India can now finish on top of the table. Even if they lose to Australia, they can finish on top of the table. See, had Afghanistan not upset Australia, then this game would have decided who finishes top of the table, and that would become very crucial, because remember, the semi-final on the 27th in Guyana, rain is expected and it does not have a reserve day. So whichever team finishes top of the group goes through, which is why finishing on top of this group becomes very essential to then qualify to the final from the semi-final, which is why Australia and India both would have liked to finish on top of the table. What this result has done, the Afghanistan result, is allowed India pretty much to finish on top of the table, even if they lose to Australia. That's how good their net run rate is. So if India lose to Australia by a close enough margin, then India still top the group, and maybe India and Australia qualify. So worst case scenario also, they can finish on top of the table, which is why I think that Afghanistan win was good. The downside of that is, yes, India haven't been guaranteed a semi-final spot, and this opens up this remote possibility that India could not qualify for the semi-final. Remote possibility, I say, because for that, firstly, Australia would have to beat India by a 40 plus run margin, which, by the way, is not easy in T20 cricket, and is definitely not likely to happen against a team like India. Yes, you could, India, Australia, somebody could pick Australia, somebody could pick India, but no one will really pick one team to win with a big margin, which is why I say 40 plus victory margin may not happen either for India or for Australia. So for India to lose with that margin seems unlikely. Secondly, for India to be knocked out of the semi-final, even Afghanistan would have to beat Bangladesh, which they of course can, but to beat them by a margin of 80 plus run seems unlikely at the moment. So for all practical purpose, I think India has qualified for the semi-final. For those equations to happen is akin to maybe pigs will fly, unicorns would be a reality, not a myth. I could win the lottery, as much chance of these things happening as India not qualifying for the semi-final. So that aside, I think finishing on the top of the group is very essential, which India, as I said, can do now, even despite losing to Australia. But Indian fans would say, why look at that? Look at the bigger incentive. The bigger incentive is beat Australia, finish on top, yes, and knock them out. That's all India need to do to knock Australia out of this tournament. Just beat them. Indian team is looking quite capable of doing that. But beating Australia in St. Lucia would be a different kettle of fish. Australia, I know I've come from a loss, but that happened in different conditions, happened in Kingston, not a great scoring ground. Spinners came into play. St. Lucia is the highest scoring ground in this tournament, and I think Australia will fancy their chances. They've played there before, so it wouldn't be, a easy task. It's never easy task to beat Australia, but in St. Lucia, a good batting track with the kind of batting lineup they have, I don't think it's going to be rather easy for the Indian team. I also look at it slightly differently. I know a lot of you are hoping that knock Australia out. They've been India's Achilles heels. Just knock them out of the tournament, and so you have a better chance of then winning. But I look at it differently. I say, I want Australia. If you're an Indian supporter, if you felt the pain as I have of the WTC final, I was there, I saw that loss. If you were there, 19th November, India playing outstandingly well, then lose, then I say, bring Australia on. Indian team is on a roll, and winning a World Cup by beating Australia, even if it happens in the final, would be much sweeter. But if you are one of those who thinks, no, let's knock them out Everything is fair. If you have to win a tournament, however it comes, nobody's going to remember these little details. People will only remember the trophies. And India, it's been a long time, believe you me, since they won an ICC trophy. So however it comes, let's go for it. Let's focus on that. Even that wouldn't be right. Perhaps just, different perspective, but there's no right or a wrong way to look at it. Coming back to St. Lucia, a good high scoring ground. By the way, just a reminder, you can see as beautiful as St. Lucia is, there are also dark clouds in the sky. So, that's going to be tricky. If there is no game possible, that also would be good for India, because then they are guaranteed not only a qualification, a top spot, and that could end Australia's chances if Afghanistan win versus Bangladesh. So that's the weather update. But in terms of a good scoring ground, the one thing that really stands out there is that fast bowlers have proven to be very expensive. Now, we saw in the last game versus Afghanistan, Australia dropped a fast bowler. They dropped someone like a mid-start. They got in a spinner, and Ashton Agar. In St. Lucia also, spinners have done better than fast bowlers. Will Australia continue keeping Stark aside and playing that extra spinner in Ashton Agar? Well, if I was in the Australian camp, I would never do that. How can you keep someone like a Mitch Stark out, right? Match-winning bowler, big match bowler, doesn't matter what the stats say. If you really want to win against India, win by a big margin, what they would be hoping, then you need to play Mitch Stark. If they don't play Mitch Stark, I think India would be happier of the two teams. Though many will argue that Ashton Agar, left-arm spinner, can have some sort of effectiveness against, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, left-arm spinners. You do have sometimes troubled Indian batters as well. But that aside, overall, I think playing Stark would be the right call for the Australian team. India, on the other hand, I don't think will tinker with their bowling lineup. You're going to see the three spinners, Kuldeep, two left-arm spinners, also going to be playing, even though those two left-arm spinners are going to come against two good left-hand batters in Warner and Head. But I think India will continue with that, the balance that they get. And maybe there are talks about rest Jasprit Bumrah. You're in good form. Maybe, he's been bowling consistently. Bring in a Siraj for this game. But I would say no. Just continue the winning momentum. Don't even think about that. The bowling lineup, Arshdeep, Bumrah, Hardik Pandya, your three spinners, they are firing on all cylinders. So go with them, keep them, and continue the winning momentum. So plenty to look forward to in this game. India versus Australia is anyway a mouth-watering contest, but now the context that has been added to this contest makes it an even more exciting watch. Be on Sports Today as always. Give us a like if you enjoy our content. Share it with your other cricket-loving friends, and subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. Press that bell icon. That's when you know the next update when it is ready, when it will come to you from ground zero from the West Indies. For the moment, Nikhil Naz signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.